this episode, I really just want to give a quick tutorial to everybody out there who is trying to get a 7-figure product launch together. And this will be really helpful for you if you are trying to launch an e-commerce product, if you are a SaaS entrepreneur, you have a software as a service, you're trying to put out some packages, you're trying to have a big launch, or if you are in info products and you're really trying to make a big splash in your market. So that's who this tutorial is designed for. If you are maybe launching an app as well, if you are launching some type of coaching product, that's what this tutorial is really going to help. And what this is I'm going to give you guys the #1 killer of product launches. What stops most people from having a successful product launch, let alone a super successful 7-figure product launch. And so I've had a few or more than a few product launches in my time. And so I've gotten to really get to know and really get to see kind of like good things and bad things. And unfortunately, there's just one thing that when I analyze, the clients I've worked with, the entrepreneurs I've interacted with in communities online, when I look at the totality of the things we're trying to do as entrepreneurs, launching products and getting things out there and getting them to stick, and I look at what really is making people fail. And when you go down the path and you begin to really look at the case studies and things like that, so big drum roll, the biggest killer of product launches. Can you take a guess? Okay, let's play a little game. I'm gonna give you guys multiple choice. 4 options. Option #1 is that they don't know how to advertise. Option #2 is that the product is just junk. Option #3 is that they simply don't get enough traffic to the launch. Option #4 is that the entrepreneur is a really bad entrepreneur. So A, B, C, or D, which one is it? Big drum roll. And the correct answer is the biggest killer of product launches is C. The entrepreneur just never gets enough traffic to the launch. They never get enough eyeballs on their launch. They never get enough people to see and be aware of their product and be aware that this product is launching as launched. So I want you to think for a quick second about, just to prove this for yourself, think for a second about Kickstarter or similar platforms. There's a bunch of these crowdfunding things. And one of the things that they really like to have you do when you launch on those platforms is they really want you to get the word out and get a lot of people to see your launch. And the reason why is because they know that there's almost like a statistical one-to-one relationship. If you're having a launch, you get 1,000 people to your launch page, and I'm your competitor, and I get 100,000 people to my launch site, to my launch page. Guess which of us, if we're getting traffic from the exact same source, exact same everything, guess which of us is gonna have the much bigger launch? I'm gonna have the much bigger launch by far. It's not even gonna be a comparison. That's why when you're doing crowdfunding and crowdsourcing, things like that, they really want you to get as much visibility as you can on your campaign. And this is really where product entrepreneurs fail. When I look at, in my own experiences, when I look at everything I've looked at, from people I've helped personally, products I've launched, product I've helped people with, maybe I wrote the copy for the thing and they went off and they launched on their own, or or I helped them with literally everything, or somewhere in between. And as a product launch guy, it's a little bit heartbreaking when you see um, so many hardworking entrepreneurs come out and put so much time into creating a product. They might have spent, I don't know, 10 hours, 15 hours on the low end, to as high as maybe they spend 100 hours. That's a significant chunk of somebody's life and time, and they spend that much time getting this product together. A lot of research, a lot of expertise, a lot of skill has gone into, if it's a course or something like that. And they've really done a great job on the product front. But the launch flops. And the reason is really simple. And it's heartbreaking to see that all this work is going to waste simply because the entrepreneur doesn't know that driving traffic is gonna be the number one thing that either makes or breaks their product launch. And so they might have put in, let's say, 100, 200 hours of work into a product that in the end only returns like maybe, let's say, 15K to them. Like, that doesn't square, right? Like, if you're putting that much time, you'd want to at least make at least 100K back. But if this is gonna be an extended project where you've been working on this thing for a year, even 100K, you might be okay with it, but you know, maybe we should set the standard even higher. You should make at least 200K from that product. You should make at least 400K from that product launch to make it really worth your time and make it a life-changing product for you to have worked on. And so that's why I have the whole 7-figure product launch system. You know, that's part of my 7-figure product launches consulting process. And the whole idea is, don't just launch your product like just another like Me Too launch. Like, you are putting way too much time into this to peter out at like, you know, a 20K, 30K launch. And so this has gotta be a lesson that you take with you, like from now, like through every product that you're gonna launch. Like, always remember what the number one killer of product launches is. And that's the entrepreneur never drives enough sufficient traffic to their product launch. And this really is a killer. It doesn't matter even if you are like an established brand. And so you think you're just gonna soft launch something and kind of get it into the market, and you think it's somehow gonna just spread through the ether with people talking about it. If you don't get enough sufficient traffic to it in the first place to even know the product exists, you're setting up your product launch to fail. And you're gonna be very disappointed. You're gonna realize that you've squandered a big opportunity for your brand, and you know, you might not have enough funds to invest in the future growth of your product. And that product launch can do a lot of irreparable damage to your brand and to your business. And when you have a mediocre launch, it opens up room for your competitors, because there are all these customers in the market that are ready for something life-changing for themselves. They're looking around for it, and they're not seeing it from you because they never heard you doing anything. You haven't got all these people's attention, so they never even find out. And so guess what happens is you're making yourself lose by not being serious enough with your product launch to getting breakthrough reach in the market. You're allowing your competitors to come in, and your competitors are gonna eat your lunch. And I mean, this is happening to a lot of entrepreneurs. So what I want you to do is just think really intentionally. Like I talk about intentionality because I've discovered in my own work and in my own experience, I've discovered like intentionality is so important in this field of having a seven-figure product launch. Like if you're not highly intentional about it, it doesn't happen by accident, guys. You don't somehow luck into a great product launch. Like then I launched and then all of a sudden I got 100,000 buyers. Like that's really rare. You know, like um, you've got to actually plan out how are you gonna get people to find out about your product launch. How are you gonna get people to see that your product launch is coming online, and how are you gonna get people engaged? So that's the big mistake. That's like if you are gonna fix one thing over the course of your career as a coach, as an e-commerce product owner, an e-commerce store owner, as a SaaS product maker, like you've created some kinds of softwares and you're trying to launch them, as an app maker, as somebody that makes physical products and sells them, as any kind of product-based entrepreneur, if you're gonna do launches and do them right and you want to succeed, that's what you gotta realize. The biggest killer of product launches is this thing is people just never get enough traffic to the product launch. People just never get enough traffic to see the launch happening. And so they never get the reach, never get the awareness. Without those two things, guys, you're not gonna get sales, right? Without reach, without awareness, you're never gonna get sales. So it's almost like a one-to-one relationship, except it's more complex. It's more kind of like exponential. For every unit of reach, you get a certain kind of lift and things like that. Like the more traffic, the more awareness you get in the market, it kind of starts paying for itself. Word starts spreading that you're doing something and you're doing something cool. And then people that you never advertised to now start hearing about your product from other people that did hear. And now you start getting people into your funnel for free. So things like virality start happening. Now you shouldn't plan on like virality, just virality. You know, I really don't. Virality is almost like a cheap hack that people reach out for. Um, what I want you to realize is when you invest your time, you invest your money, you invest your energy, and above all, you invest your intentionality into getting enough traffic to see your product launch, that begins to multiply. It begins a snowball. There's a snowball effect that happens when you get a sufficient amount of traffic into your funnel, into your product launch. And that kickstarts something that's simply very hard to stop, where even your competitors, even if they have good products, they have good brands, but if you just get enough traffic into your launch, even as a new product, like you're creating a completely new product, or maybe your store is just in its first year, you've never launched anything before, this is like literally your first launch. If you focus on getting that traffic in there, a deluge, a flood of traffic, amazing things begin to happen, and that's where things begin to compound. So that's the biggest mistake that kills, the single biggest thing that kills seven-figure product launches, that kills product launches and makes them really just kind of die out. And I hope you really get that, guys. And then now let's talk about something on the backside of that. That's very important as well, but it's a different problem, and it's number two. And this second thing is what kills the product launches of even those entrepreneurs, even successful entrepreneurs who manage to have a good initial launch, but somewhere down the line that product launch fizzles out and dies out. Like this happens. This is like if the first problem was these planes never even take off, right? They just kind of taxi down the runway, and then as the guy is trying to take off, the whole thing crashes down and smashes into the big wall at the end of the runway, and it's like a disaster on the ground. The thing just never even took off. You know, there's like flames and fire everywhere. They got fire trucks, they got the fire department from every city within a 50-mile range, sirens everywhere. It's like a big disaster. that was like product launch 1 died because there simply was never enough traffic to it. Now let's talk about what happens with case number 2. This is the plane actually took off. So these pilots have got a lot going for them, because at least they actually took off the ground. Hey, the thing actually took off and they're airborne and they're going up. And then what happens is, at some point as they are climbing up towards what should be cruise altitude, which is out there somewhere, somehow something really bad happens, and that plane just comes whooshing down, and everyone is surprised, like, whoa, never saw that happen. So it's kind of like this plane stalls out somewhere out there. And so this is what happens in the case of a lot of entrepreneurs that are successful with their product launch, but the momentum fizzles out and the product just stops selling, and the product just never sells as well, as quickly. The product launch just dies out. So this is the big mistake. So what really happens when that happens? Like, what's behind that? And so I want you to get this. This is just as important for you guys to know as principle number 1, the biggest killer of product launches. This is number 2. This is what kills product launches that actually succeeded or were succeeding, right? They already got some success. So they actually got that traffic thing we talked about in the beginning. They actually did get that. They were actually doing it. It was really working. It was happening. So what happens? This is now second biggest killer. And this is the biggest killer of product launches of entrepreneurs that have successfully driven traffic in the first place in enough quantities. And the mistake is this, is that they take their foot off the gas, and they think they can go soft, and they think that they can drive traffic just for 30 days. And then they stop driving traffic. They think now that hey, we launched. The launch is over, or the launch is done. We've driven traffic. Now things are good. The product will take care of itself. No, it doesn't. It's not going to. 6 months later, you'll be lucky if that product is even selling. So I want you guys to really get this. And this is a big problem. I mean, you have no idea how many times this happens. And I guess in the minds of entrepreneurs, the thinking is like, I put in all this work to create the product, and now I've put in all this work to drive traffic. So now the baby is grown, and it should just kind of start walking and taking care of itself. Except it's still a baby. It still needs to be taken care of. And so what happens in that case is this guy stops driving traffic, and then what happens over time is that the product just fizzles out, right? There are no more sales, no new people are seeing the product. So the launch just kind of comes to a stop by itself. And in the plane analogy, I mean, if you stop the engines up there and you just kind of keep going, like, the plane can kind of glide along on its own momentum, but only for a while, guys. And that's a very dangerous place to be. And that's where a lot of you entrepreneurs are trying to rely on just your initial momentum. Like, you're never gonna get your destination trying to get by on this kind of trick. Like, there's a reason why they put those big engines on those planes. That's because that's literally required to get you to your destination. Without that, you're not getting anywhere. And it's dangerous because it kills, it kills people. And in this case, it's gonna kill your product launch. So if you're a successful entrepreneur, you had a successful launch, and somehow your product just stopped selling after a few months. Now you know what happened. You took your foot off the gas. You never provided any more gas. You didn't keep throwing. What you need to do is keep throwing more and more and more traffic into this launch to keep sustaining that product, keep lifting that product, keep pushing it, keep taking it to the next level. And you too could have had like a 7-figure launch. You could have the biggest launch, but because you took your foot off the gas, that kills your product launch. Now, there's a good thing, of course. If you want to like revive a launch, now you know already the solution. You just gotta fix mistake number 1 and mistake number 2 that we just covered here. You just gotta get traffic going to this thing again. So these are easy mistakes to make, but they are also easy mistakes to remedy. Like the solution is not some complicated gizmo thing out there like, oh, we gotta make a new product, we gotta find a new niche, no, it's nothing like that. It's not some crazy big solution out there. It's really simple stuff that if you've even created a product in the first place, you can actually do these things to rectify that kind of mistake. So just in closing out, guys, these are the 2 biggest killers of 7-figure product launches. This is why people don't get to a 7-figure product launch. This is why people don't really grow their product sales, and why people kind of have these launches that just fizzle out. They put in 100 hours of work into creating a product, and then they never actually get the return from the product. So those are the big killers that I need you guys to know, and you can follow along for more tips on product launches, 7-figure product launches. And you can also grab my free Solopreneur Profits Bootcamp to learn how to attract a lot of customers to your product launch and to your product sales. The link will be in the description.